Before you put your choices for future healthcare in writing, it is important to think about and understand the sorts of choices that you can make. You may have said things like, "I don't want any heroics," or "I don't want to be hooked up to some machines keeping me alive." But these statements may be too vague. When the time comes, it's likely that the decisions that have to be made will be complex and difficult. You need to consider what kinds of situations you may face and what options for medical care and treatment exist. There are many possible situations where advanced care planning would be useful. Imagine, for instance, you have a severe stroke and sustain an irreversible brain injury. You're rushed to hospital and end up on life support in intensive care. Who would you want to make the decision with your doctors about the medical treatment that you receive? Or imagine that you're no longer able to care for yourself or to make your own decisions. You have severe Alzheimer's disease and no longer know who you or your family members are. If you became seriously ill, what healthcare decisions would you want your loved ones to make for you? It may also be helpful to think in general terms about your goals and values in life. What are the things that you believe are important in your life? It is impossible to predict every situation or illness. However, it is worth considering what sort of treatments would be overly burdensome in comparison to any possible benefits. These sorts of decisions are deeply personal and may be based on your own culture or your spiritual values, religion, or belief systems. As you begin to think about these things, there are many people who may be able to help you. Your own doctor, a religious advisor, your lawyer, or close and valued friends. Advanced care planning is also available in many hospitals as a program called Respecting Patient Choices.
How I got involved in Respecting Patient Choices program was basically my dialysis nurse, where I dialysed 3 times a week at Epping. Diane, she gave me the forms to read and the booklets, and she basically showed me the way right through it.
I kept putting it aside, saying, "Oh, this is really hard."
At the very start of it, when I first started, when I read the form, I didn't quite understand exactly what I had to do. So she was a great help, and she explained it to me, and I felt it was an important thing because I realised what I'd gone through, and I realised what I'd put my family through, and especially Andrea, my wife, through.
My perspective of James in ICU, I found it just terrifying, and so my opinion was totally different to James about what I'd want done if I was in that position. So yeah, we had huge differences of an opinion, but I mean, it wasn't about me, it was about James. So and I was happy with what he chose for himself.
This way I can have my choice. It's my decisions if it happens again. And it quite well could happen again because I still have a dissected aorta. It's still dissected. So, I mean, it could happen any time, and the doctors have told me that. So if it happens again, well then it's all there in black and white, what I want.
Before putting anything in writing or appointing someone to make decisions for you in the future, it is very important to discuss your views with those closest to you. Talking with loved ones may not be easy. Many people are deeply uncomfortable about discussing anything to do with death and dying. And it is common to meet with resistance, fear, and even denial about these conversations.
My father was diagnosed with bone cancer. It caught us quite unawares. It was not something we were expecting or had even really thought about. Mum and Dad were refugees from the war. They came out in the early 50s. And I guess as a result of the war and the traumas they went through, they were quite secretive. So we weren't really a family that shared a lot of secrets. So consequently, when my sister and myself were trying to deal with Dad's illness, we found it very difficult to talk to either of them. My father was reluctant to even admit that this was a major problem for him. My mother was in total denial. Neither of them wanted to discuss it, and quite frankly, we didn't know how to broach the subject anyway. It led to a lot of conflict, to the end where my sister and myself had, a few fallings out over what was going on and whether the treatment was correct and should we be doing something else. I think the sad consequence of that 6 or 7 months that Dad was struggling with his illness was that it was quite clear he didn't live that time in the way he, given a choice, he would have preferred. I do have regrets that my father was either unable or unwilling to be a little bit more open to it, because I think in the long run, we're only here for a short time, and we're entitled to live it as well as possible.
These issues may be hard to discuss, but they're important conversations to have. When family and friends don't know what you want, it can cause arguments and distress, as they may have differing ideas about what would be best. If you talk to those close to you about what you would want in the future, they won't have to guess. All Australians have the right to make their own healthcare decisions, but it's up to you to make your wishes known. The first step is thinking through and understanding your future healthcare choices. Your doctor or an advanced care planning consultant can assist you in this. Next, talk with those closest to you so they understand your wishes. And finally, write your choices down so they can guide your family and medical carers should you ever be in a position where you are unable to speak for yourself. When you're young or healthy, it's hard to think about the care that you would want later in life. But making choices now, free from pressure and crisis, may be the best way to ensure you receive the kind of health care you want in the future. In the end, it's up to you to make your choices known, so your loved ones won't have to choose for you.
I've discussed it with my partner and my sister. Maybe not the exact details, but what I have said is that I want to have a bit of control over the last period of my life.
I think you get when you've been through what I've been through, you get a whole different perspective on what patient choices, because like I said, I didn't have any choice, no choices.
We have made our decision and we're very happy and we're very comfortable with that. We know our children will be comfortable too, because there will be no mixed feelings, there'll be no family torn apart through a decision making. It'll be our decision.
Advanced care planning is an emotional and deeply personal process, but it's an important opportunity for you to have a say in your future medical care, in case a time came when you couldn't speak for yourself. It'll give you peace of mind to know that you've discussed your wishes with your family and put them in writing. And it'll be a comfort to your family members to know that they will be able to respect your choices in the future. If you'd like to find out more about advanced care planning, then talk to your doctor or a staff member at your local hospital. You can find out more through the Respecting Patient Choices website.